Today, let's go over Supreme Leader Snoke when it comes to the Star Wars franchise, and yes, even Emperor Palpatine. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, as you all know, during the events of The Last Jedi, we've all been wondering exactly what was the backstory of Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, all thanks to the official The Last Jedi novelization, we have been learning more and more about the character of Snoke. However, the biggest question that a lot of fans have been asking and have been asking me is exactly, how did Snoke become more powerful than Emperor Palpatine? And believe it or not, Snoke is indeed more powerful than Palpatine himself. Even the actor Andy Serkis confirmed this and said this in an interview a couple of months ago in early 2018. However, we never really got the official answer as to exactly why Supreme Leader Snoke is so much more powerful than Emperor Palpatine. Now, if you guys do a lot of research in the Aftermath novels and even in the Last Jedi novelization, and you combine these two sources of material, you do learn exactly of how Supreme Leader Snoke became more powerful than the Sith Lord himself. So, looking at the Aftermath novel, it goes over how Palpatine felt this presence, this dark side presence, calling out to him, reaching out to him, essentially trying to fish him along into the unknown regions. And this was actually considered as a dark entity in Palpatine's mind. However, if you look into The Last Jedi, we do know that the unknown regions actually holds many secrets and ancient knowledge of the Force and the dark side, quite possibly even the origin of the dark side of the Force. Snoke was the first one to be called and lured into the unknown regions, hence why his, gigantic mega star destroyer called the Supremacy was built there next to a star to remain undetectable. Now, Snoke was the first one to get lured into the unknown regions before Emperor Palpatine ever got to, before his death. However, Thrawn even made, a venture into the unknown regions before, but Snoke was able to unlock many ancient mysteries, ancient knowledge, and origins of the dark side of the Force, and learn a whole lot more about it before Palpatine did. This perfectly explains as to why Andy Serkis said that Snoke is a whole lot more powerful than Emperor Palpatine himself. Now, this is why I love the character of Snoke, is that there's this whole entire backstory that we have yet to learn about, and I think that this would serve as a great prequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy, where you do get an entire story of a younger Supreme Leader Snoke getting called out to the unknown regions, learning about this ancient knowledge, unlocking all of this power, and learning about the origin of the dark side of the Force. In the Aftermath novel, Palpatine essentially knew of this to a degree. He knew that something was going on in the unknown regions, and the main reason as to why Palpatine wanted to go out there as well is because he believed that there may have been another force out there that could have been a threat to his empire that took so long to build, to rule the entire galaxy. And the unknown regions at the time was the only section of the galaxy that he wasn't actually ruling. So this is a very interesting and dynamic story that I think would really work for either a standalone film or maybe even an entire prequel. And it's one of the main reasons as to why Andy Serkis has told us before in the past as to why Supreme Leader Snoke does indeed have a backstory. Lucasfilm decided on his backstory. However, Serkis denied to tell the fans about any of that because in case they use it for a future Star Wars movie, or heck, maybe even a trilogy, he said. So we'll have to wait and see what the future holds for the Star Wars franchise when it comes to the character of Snoke by Andy Serkis. Like I say, Snoke is a character, he always grew on me, there's some mystery to him, and I think that, the Snoke that we have now is kind of like the Emperor Palpatine that we had back in the 70s and 80s, where we didn't really know too much about him. And then later on is when we got the prequel trilogy in the 90s and the early 2000s, where we got that whole entire backstory, right? of Emperor Palpatine manipulating Anakin from the very start and turning him to the dark side, where he would ultimately become Darth Vader. But anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.